Okay, let's go. Welcome to Seeing Things Differently.
Loymus across the pond.
With Kay and Cleves.
And Angie and Kimberly.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Seeing Things Differently. And of course, we are on our platform, so it's going to be very tidy. But we're going to talk about leisure, or how Cleves and T know it as leisure. You know, what do we do for fun? Hobbies, interests. But anyway, how have you guys been?
Oh, good. Cleves is back to 100%, I think.
Yeah.
Yay, that's
We've
good.
foot gate
foot,
since last time. Yeah. I'm back up and down the stairs. I'm
Good.
fighting fit.
We'll see how the recording goes. You might have an injury after this. So.
No, don't jinx it. Also,
Oh.
T, I want to congratulate you on the new puppy, on Mr. Super Ted.
Thank you very much. He's doing really well.
That's not what we've
Super
been
Ted-
calling him.
Super Ted is a great name, and he is a great dog.
Yes.
It's going to take another 3 weeks to be fully qualified with him.
Oh,
It's been
fun.
good. It's been good. So we're nearly there. He's a good lad. I think he's a little bit stupid, but that's fine. I can deal with that.
There's a phrase that's been bandied around, T, and it's that dogs take after their owners.
You said this in the pub. I disagreed, and we moved on.
Thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, but you said that about your last dog, that he was kind of hard to, I don't know, shall we say,
Yeah, Wes was,
train.
don't get me
I
wrong,
don't
Wes
know.
was stupid, but
Yeah.
if Wes was the bar, where would you say Ted is? Above or below?
Under the bar, licking up the drums.
Jesus.
Aww.
Aw.
How does it work for you, Angie? Like, when do they get signed off?
So Draco and I will be a team. We will be placed next spring. The goal for him is to start harness training in the summer. So
How old is he?
he is 9 months. He's going to be 10 months on March 15th.
Nice.
Oh, he's a little boy.
Yeah, he's a little boy, and he's doing so well. He went on his first escalator ride for the first time and absolutely killed it. So
Aw.
he's doing great.
That's good.
Like me last week.
Yay! Yeah,
I loved it.
that's awesome.
How's things with you, Kim? How's things going?
Yeah, I'm good. I've listened to you guys' podcast, and now I can finally tell your voices apart. I could last time, but
Oh, man.
I'm kind of proud of myself.
Me and T find it weird because, in England, my accent is so different to T's. Like, he speaks slower. He's got, a different drawl.
I can tell.
Both of those things are offensive. Oh, yeah. In the UK, T's accent is slower. He talks like an idiot, like he has brain damage.
That was what I was
Yeah.
yes, definitely.
Yeah, you speak like a shrill northern idiot, so let's not get into this.
Also true, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can say the same. Well, I mean, oh my God, there are accents here in the US that are distinguishable, like somebody from the South.
Within the state of Chicago, okay, I can tell you and Kimberly apart, there's
Yeah.
little nuances. But even within the county of Nottingham in England, if you go from one side of the county to the other, you can tell someone straight there, and you're looking at 2 or 3 miles apart.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's interesting.
No, and it's the same with London, like where my dad is from. You go to London, and
Cockney
you have
versus
one
posh.
area. You go to Highgate, and they go, "Hello, I'm from Highgate. I own my house, and I have a butler take out all my washing." But then you go 2 miles away, and you find Hackney. It's like, "You all right, mate? You want to buy some speakers off a van?" That's 2 miles.
Funny.
That's all it is. It's like it's so ridiculous.
Crazy.
It's probably that same button
So
selling the
instead
speakers.
of being like different state, it's within like miles of each other. That's nuts. I'm curious, how can you tell Kimberly and I apart?
Again, it's sort of speech patterns. Do you know, for me, it's the edit. The edit's easy because I think I mentioned this before. Like, well, the way you speak, Angie, is you sort of you move words to one another. Whereas Kimberly, I don't know whether it's like the whole singing background, where she sort of takes a breath, speaks, and then we're done. Do you know what I mean? Like there's like a it makes a point of saying
probably
something.
Because she's been I mean, I sing too, but like I don't do choir or anything. So
I didn't know you sang. Yeah. That's what I was saying. It's from what I knew from you guys.
It's more of like I just never really talk about it, but I don't.
Kim's like more technical. I feel like she's
no, she
had
is.
that.
Yeah, she is, and that's probably because she probably. Kimberly, did you ever take voice lessons? Because I never did.
There you go. Yeah,
because you took voice lessons, you know what I mean, and so they teach you how to sing. They teach you how to use your voice, basically. I'm originally from Chicago, and I'm also Hispanic, so.
That's a good point. I feel like it would cut in more.
Is her first language, pretty much. So
well, I mean, I learned Spanish at home, but then I started school when I was 3, so I picked up English a lot faster than I did Spanish.
Are you fluent in Spanish?
Yeah, I am. I actually am. Nice. I'm fluent in Spanish. In college, I actually had to take Spanish to learn how to read it and write it correctly.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to read it or write it correctly, and I kind of felt like, and that actually helped me a lot because I learned how to speak Spanish correctly. Not that I spoke it incorrectly, but I didn't want to just know slang or like, Latin American countries are Spanish in Latin America. Everybody, like, it's different.
Yeah.
Mexican Spanish is very different than Spain Spanish. So obviously here in the States, when you learn Spanish, they teach you Spain Spanish. So there are some things with like Spain Spanish that I'll never get because I don't, it's not my usual, but it did help me a lot. And I did it because if, I'm looking for jobs and I'm applying for bilingual positions, and when I tell them I'm bilingual, I'm making myself more marketable.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So
I'm the opposite. I can read and write it, but I can't really understand it. I took 2 years of it, but
oh wow, I did not know that.
I don't know very many words.
I didn't know you could read it or write it. Wow.
All right, should we get on to episode?
Okay, leisure/leisure/leisure. So shall we start off with sport? Because when people think about leisure, I think about sport. Yeah, this is sports at leisure time. Baseball, football, both American and soccer. But I suppose my thoughts are going to like what are available. So you have like various blind alternatives to sport. Of course, like sports, they can be a little bit rubbish with what the offering is for like vision impaired and blind people, but there are also instances where they're very accommodating, and that's really good. So I suppose if I start us off, I know Cleves isn't going to be the best for this because he is a non-engaging person with a lot of these sort of
generally
things.
In life, or
no, I mean with sport. You're about as athletic as a brick.
I did judo for like 10 years. I was a kid. Not blind judo. I wasn't blind by that point.
But blind judo is a thing. And I did do blind judo for a fair amount of time. And essentially it's the same sort of thing as regular judo, but you start in the clinch. That's what you do. You start just grabbing onto each other. And that's fine. Like it's Paralympic sport. Pretty good. I know America, they've got a good team as well, from what I've heard. I don't think they made any medals in the Paralympics last time, but they were quite competitive.
Well, you guys had a whole thing about the Pan American Games, and you had the guy on that had done judo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It must be pretty. I'd say it's pretty readily available in England. Those sorts of things aren't massively available, considering how short a landmass it is. To find blind sports within your area is actually pretty difficult, because you've also had an episode on blind hockey, and the only place in England that does blind hockey is Oxford currently, and that is about. I mean, if you were blind and wanted to take public transport there, you're probably looking at about 3-hour journey. So it's not like it's around the corner. And we have the National Ice Rink in Nottingham as well, and it's still not available. It's only available at a university in Oxford.
Yeah.
So is it more available in the US, do you reckon? If you're blind and want to pick up a sport, is it available in your area?
Not really. I'm thinking of, at the moment, skiing. And we have events that are cross country or downhill that are with guides. And that's how Angie and I actually met. It wasn't, it was in the state, but it wasn't like something we could take the bus to in our cities and do. We had to, it was out quite a ways and in the middle of nowhere. And it was just for a weekend once a year. But
and it wasn't competitive, it was like recreational.
And then there is downhill skiing. There is an event called the International Ski for Light that I've been to, where Angie and I met at the one that was in our state, but that is since disbanded, unfortunately. But I went to the international one, and that was in Colorado in 2016. And that was fun. It was mostly cross country, but they did do a day where they brought people to a ski hill and you had a guide. And what I've heard is that you like each hold on to a hula hoop and you go down the hill that way.
That's awesome. Like, I suppose the fact I'm going to throw out is 4 years ago, we had a gold medal winner. It was guide skiing. They did it with a Bluetooth headset where the guide would go through and then just give narration to the blind skier behind. Unfortunately, what happened was they crossed the line and the guide saw the time they had achieved it in, whereas they won the gold medal and not told the blind skier that they had finished the run. And they hit the wall at 60 miles an hour.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
She was okay in the end. I think she did have a couple of broken ribs from it. But they were I think that's the thing. They were so happy with the fact that they'd beaten that. I think they got the world record as well. I think it was slalom, blind slalom. And like the guide was so happy. He was like, yes, we've done it. And never said, stop, just turn.
Oh my God.
And she hit the wall like 60 miles an hour.
Wow.
She was fine after all. Like, I think she competed in the Winter Olympics this year, which was great.
Wow.
I think she still did really well. So she bounced back. But I suppose that's the risks that come with these sort of sports, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, I mean, that's scary.
Yeah.
Is there many places around you that you think like sports in your area that are just super accessible for blind people? Like they did blind judo in Nottingham.
Yeah, and goalballs around as well. And blind cricket. That's a big thing. Like I played blind cricket a lot. So
I used to play goalball recreationally, and this was like, oh man, this was years ago, and it was just like for fun. And we would like, a group of us would meet every Saturday, and like you'd have to like register and like, pay a fee to play and stuff like that. But it was fun. I don't know if they do it anymore. I know that in the summer, like there was like a sports camp type of event where like blind kids would go and learn about different blind sports, and you'd get to play a little bit. But I don't really follow it, so I don't know if it still happens or not.
Yeah. But how about you, Kimberly?
I know there are beep baseball teams in Wisconsin. And I know people go rock climbing to rock climbing gyms, and all you really need is to be told by the person who's belaying you and stuff, there's a rock.
I mean, how does baseball work? I know we have like guided like climbing here, but I'm curious about how baseball works. Do you know much about that and how like the visually impaired baseball, like how that differs?
I know it beeps, and I know someone, shout out to Brandon, who is on a team. I don't know if it's all blind people or it's just him that gets the beep baseball. I think they have accommodations where someone runs with you or something like that to the...
Yeah. I mean, blind cricket, you've got two versions of blind cricket. And this is also sort of a loaded conversation because not a lot of people get cricket in general, let alone playing cricket. Well, we have the domestic game, and that's what I played a lot of. I use a bigger ball. So I'd say it's around the size of, it's around a small basketball, I'd say. So not the size of basketball. If you half a basketball, it's around that sort of size. And it has bells in it. And you have to have the ball bounce once before the batsman. So you throw it sort of over your shoulder, and it's got to bounce at least once. And that's if you have some sight. If you have no sight, it has to bounce twice. Otherwise, it's a no ball. And it gives them plenty of opportunity to recognize the sort of like the direction of the ball, and then they hit it. And then there's loads of other rules that go into it, but it's really good sport. I played it for years and years. Really enjoyed it at county level, which is essentially state level, I suppose. And I also played the international game, which is played, well, internationally, but it's very different, where you play with essentially a baseball, but the baseball is made of plastic and it has ball bearings in it that makes it shake. And you throw it like a bowling ball, and then they have to hit it. So it's not really like cricket. There's a lot of debate about which is the best sort of cricket. And you don't want to be hit by that because it's made of plastic and it goes at around 80 miles an hour off of the bat. And if you get that hit you, it hurts a lot. It's a horrible experience. I had a concussion once from one where it hit me in the eye.
Oh my God.
I was lucky to not fracture my eye socket. And
it made your face look better, though.
It did make me look far more handsome than I already am at all. Yeah. But that was because I was going for trials at an England game, and I had one of the best English players in history, and he was batting, and I was standing opposite him, and he hit the ball, and it got me straight in the face. And I don't remember half an hour after that. Like, it hit me, and I was just...
Wow.
I remember. I was just gone. Like, there's just nothing there in my mind. So that was interesting.
How would you know?
Oh, wow.
I was told.
I tried a different type of ball sport when I was in training called string ball. And it's where one part of the string was like attached to the building behind you, and the other part was attached to this thing that the string wound around, and you another person on the team was holding, and you had to be careful that the ball doesn't hit your fingers. And a part of in the middle of the string is kind of like the part where if you go past that, that's a home run. And you just, the ball, the person with the handle thing pushes the ball down, you hit it with the bat, and it goes flying to the other side with the person with the handle and the string. And then the teams just switch back and forth, and you get points. And I only played that once, but it was really fun. And I wish like there were teams like that. I'd totally do that.
What was the name of that?
String ball.
Okay, well, as it says on the tin. Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, thinking of string, this is something that I've only realised, I've been aware of in the last few years. but maybe something that you could both incorporate is like darts, like pub darts, that where you have the dartboard and like you've got 3 darts, that sort of thing. So you can play this as a vision impaired person because you get a pin and you attach a piece of string underneath the dartboard, and the bit of string is as long as it needs to be to where you have like the oki where you have to stand.
Okay.
And so you know exactly where the exact bottom of the board is. But then you can print out sort of like you can get diagrams of where the numbers are. So you can go, okay, this is the point where the string is, the 20 is there, 19 is there. So you can base it off of that. So you have a feel of this chart, and then you can go, okay, I've got to make it to 200. Like that's the score I need to get. But then you've got that string and you put it quite tight with your non-dominant hand, so usually your left hand, and you hold that and you know where the board is, at least the bottom of it, and then you can throw with your right hand because you felt the diagram, you know where you're supposed to throw the darts.
Okay.
It's very odd. I'm probably not explaining it the best way, to be honest, but
I get it.
It is a form of like darts which has been adapted for the visually impaired and blind, which I've heard works quite well.
Nice.
You say it works quite well, but if I walked into a pub and there was a bunch of blind people throwing darts around,
depends on the pub, doesn't it?
I'm not necessarily want to be in the general vicinity of that.
Yeah, I'm going to throw at you. Okay, quick, before we move on to hobbies and interests. So I'm very much a person who believes that any vision impaired and blind person can do whatever they want. I know this has always been sort of like in the UK, it's always a controversial thing. You rock up, you've got a long cane or a guide dog. I've done this a fair amount of times. And you're like, oh, I want to do this. And they're like, no, and turn you away. So I suppose, firstly, I want to know if that's ever happened to either one of you. But secondly, what would you do if there were no barriers? So if they're down the road, there was no barriers at all, what would you be interested in doing?
That's a good question. If you had a choice of leisure activities, yeah, what would you do?
Yeah. I want to do zip lining.
Oh, you can do zip lining, surely. Even as a
Yes. I know you can. I do know of a friend who had a really hard time because people turned her away who were in charge of it because she was blind, and she had to put up a fight about it.
Wow.
If there were no barriers, let me think. I want to go to a casino and like do the slot machines and stuff.
I'll meet you in Vegas, Kim. Let's go.
We need to get a GoFundMe going, like seeing things differently. Vegas special.
That would be so
GoFundMe page.
Cool. Like we'll go to Vegas, and then we should do like a dog thing too. See?
Yeah, 100%. Take the dogs around, get them that sherm off. It's like, hey, dogs in Vegas.
Yep.
Okay, if we move on to general sort of leisure, hobbies, that side of things. So I want to know what we're all currently doing, what our leisure topics are, what we're doing day to day, what we've enjoyed doing in previous years, and how accessible they are, and like how easy it is to get into these sort of things.
Oh, smart. Okay.
So, Cleves, you're into music.
Yeah, music is my jam. Like we're literally sitting in an attic surrounded by CDs and this big fat drum kit right there.
Talk to the microphone, man.
And there's a bunch of amps and stuff in the loft where we are, and that's my jam. So I used to play in a band, and what made it accessible for me was I never used to be able to see the microphone. So I used to sing's a strong word, but I used to do vocals in the band that I was in. And I used to get a glow stick and sellotape it to the mic so that I could see where it was throughout the set.
Smart. That
was all that I needed at the time. Yeah, that's all I needed. Like put the guitar in my hands and then sellotape the mic in place, and then that's it. That's all it was. Good to go. It's
a good idea.
Yeah.
as long as you know where your general surroundings are. That's the main thing. Like the stage was sort of lit, but then I don't need to go any further than my microphone. If I was going any further than my microphone, then I know I'm on the floor and I've probably passed the stage, and I'll be in a full Madonna at that point, and I don't want to be doing that. So yeah, play guitar, see where the microphone is, make the relative adjustments. Oh, actually, my guitar as well. My guitar, sometimes if I don't know where the fretboard was, I used to get a Tipex. Remember Tipex, that white stuff that you used to put on paper if you made a mistake? You could
the whiteout,
we call it Tipex.
Yeah, blob it out with like white stuff, so it raises a dot. And I used to put it on certain parts of my guitar, so I know how far down the guitar I was, because it left a physical mark at the top. So if I had to start a song, I knew I'd be starting at a certain point on the guitar, and then I'd go from there. But they were the two things that I made. That, and I mean, I never used to drive the equipment to the venue. Everyone else used to drive that. Yeah. And whilst everyone else was setting up, I pretty much got smashed at the bar, and then turned up on stage and did the sound check, and away we went.
Kimberly, you do a lot of arts and crafts, don't you?
Ooh, that's a good.
Yeah, I make necklaces or lanyards, keychains, bracelets, anklets, all those things out of Rex lace. It's this stretchy, plasticky string. And then I also do basket weaving. And then I also love to read Braille books and listen to Braille books.
Nice.
And listen to podcasts. And then lastly, to go back to Cleves, I love to sing. I grew up singing lessons, was in choirs, even freshman year, got singing lessons, even was in other choirs, went to another choir on my lunch break that was not as, like the singers weren't as confident. So I was asked to come in and kind of be
whip them into shape.
Yeah. Sort of whip them into shape and be the strong singer that they needed. And then also I'm in my community choir when it's not COVID. And I have a friend, shout out to Karen, who takes the music, sends me the lyrics, and then I put it on my Braille display and bring my Braille display to choir and then follow along with it so I know the words. I listen and then learn the melody along with it. But what's really difficult is that we have up to at least 12 songs for our Christmas concert to do.
Wow.
And I find it unfair because everyone else has their music in front of them and I can't do that. So I have to memorize all the songs. No one else has to.
You know what? You should get extra mince pies. That's what you need to get.
Yeah, like some sort of bonus.
You should get a bonus, extra mince pies or something like that.
Yeah, and I try to do it well before the concert, and everyone's like, "Oh, I haven't even done that yet." It's like, yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah.
You know, like, of course you haven't. Right.
Yeah, I definitely get the whole thing with having to memorize things too, because I actually play piano by ear, so I guess that's a hobby for me.
She's really good at it.
What I've learned
I haven't played in years, yo.
Between our skills, between skills, vocals, guitar, and sax, we basically make a great reggae band.
Yeah. What are my skills? Yep. Go on, say it. Sax.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not really a skill.
So my hobbies, include playing piano by ear.
That's a dating show now.
Not limited to.
Yeah.
Is it? Singing. Yeah, it is kind of like a dating site application. So playing piano by ear.
Oh, you're just reading off your Tinder right now, Angie. Is that what it is?
No, I'm not. I'm not even on Tinder.
I'll play your piano.
And I have synthesizers that I like to play with. They're a bunch of fun. And then I like to go for walks. I like to
to cook, don't
train
you?
with my dog. What?
You like cooking, don't you?
Oh yeah, I love cooking. Cooking's just great. Baking, cooking, working out. I wasn't like a complete gym rat, but I was definitely about the gym life, and then COVID hit, and I miss it very
That's
much.
a weird change in terminology. Like you say gym rat because that's like an American thing. We call them gym bunnies, which sounds so sweeter.
Gym buddies, that's so cute. I love it.
I'm a gym bunny. And it's like, no, over there in the US, like, no, gym rats. They're disgusting. They're sweaty. I love that. I love that.
Yep. So yeah, definitely. I was definitely about the gym life. So working out, and then I honestly don't think I answered this, but the question you asked. So if I wasn't limited to a sport, like I would play basketball because I loved basketball when I was a kid, and I think a sport that I would love to do is martial arts or self-defense.
I used to choreograph my own dances to the latest songs when I was in middle school and high school.
Nice.
Well, I mean, you also did it a little bit as an adult too, because I remember for like the talent show, like you used to. That's why I said I remember that, because I know you used to dance to like Britney Spears and.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
No, it's all good. But I can't find anyone in the city I live in that teaches hip hop dance, because all my moves are like 90s, early 2000s, and I'd be way outdating myself. And so I really want to learn new dance moves, because I used to study music videos.
Yeah.
And so I really want to learn new dance moves, but I can't find anyone that teaches that.
That kind of sucks, because I feel like that'd be really accessible for everyone as well.
Yeah, I kind of feel like dance should be accessible, because like I'm trying to learn how to salsa, and like I would love to learn how to tango, but it's like how do you find somebody like that can teach you how to dance and be descriptive instead of telling you, okay, move like this, or
I could do just tango.
turn this way, or like that's why I get it. Like it's really hard for me to follow dances, because I don't know whether you're turning left or right, and if you move too fast, like I remember I tried doing Zumba at my local gym, and I got so frustrated because I was just like, I can't follow what people are doing.
We've always got the Casper slide to fall back on.
Yeah, but that's
I love the Casper slide.
I love those dances.
Yeah, it's great. Like it's very unique. I think we're all just very unique on what we want to do. Like Kimberly, you like to dance and sing. I like to dance and sing for fun, but like, it's like if I go out and dance, or I like to bake, and we all like to listen to podcasts because we are podcasters. So that's another thing that I like to do in my spare time too, is watch movies, shows. I think we all do listen to podcasts, and sometimes I'll watch blind YouTubers too, because I do it for content. And that's why I listen to podcasts too, not just blind podcasts, but just any podcast, because if it's something that we're interested in, or just, also for like content. I mean, because that's how I categorize my podcast listening. So like if I listen to a blind podcast, I listen to it just for the sake of content. So, like, what are they doing? And I'll either be like, I'll tell Kimberly like, hey, we should talk about this. Or we haven't dived into like this subject, or or I'll think of like an idea that we can get off them, but kind of make it our own and put our own spin to it. Or, podcast listening, just for fun. There's that too.
It's a hobby in itself. I didn't even really think about it, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
100%.
because I remember before I started, I got the idea of a podcast. I was watching blind creators on YouTube, and I was just kind of like, well, I kind of want to do something. And I remember talking to one of my mentors. I'm like, I want to start a podcast. This is what I want to do. I want to have a woman as my co-host, blah, 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 blah. And then she's like, just do it. Write down your proposal and do it. And then I spoke to Kimberly about it, and she's like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, okay. And we've been going for 3 years now?
That's it.
Yeah.
I've literally just finished season 1 of your guys' podcast, hence why I know so much about the sport
our first
and everything.
Episode was horrid.
Don't worry. You can only
was
if you
all
start
over the place.
Seesaw, episode 5 is the first episode.
We axed all of our
really?
first.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
1
got
to
rid of
4 are gone.
we didn't nail down the format. We didn't nail down the length of the episode. We didn't nail down
sound.
What we were doing. It was just about. It wasn't a mess, but it was a
questionable.
It was a learning curve.
Yeah, and then I was still trying to figure out how to edit too. Hey, I mean, we enjoy doing it, and I'm glad that I have Kimberly with me because she'll think of something that I don't think about, or vice versa.
Yeah, 100%. As long as you're enjoying it, that's the whole point, isn't it? Like, you want to be enjoying it, and it is a hobby, and I think we all hoped it becomes more than that, but ultimately, you need to go into it.
I would
with
love
that.
for it too.
But yeah, you need to go in with that as your mindset of something. It's something to enjoy.
What else did we have on the docket to talk about next?
All right, let's round out by saying, are there activities that you do currently that you would recommend to other blind people?
Just what you enjoy. I enjoy crafting, and I learned how to do it. And don't do something because someone else is doing it, or someone tries talking you into it and you don't like it. Like if there's a blind sports in your area and you try it, you don't like it. It's supposed to be leisure. It's supposed to be recreational. Don't do something just because it's blind oriented. Find something that you enjoy.
Yeah, but Kim, people are going to ask you, how do you get into crafting if you can't see what you're crafting?
I got into it with Lions Camp with handicrafts they taught us. And then years and years later, I figured out how to acquire the items needed to do basket weaving. And then I do how I learned. I really wish there was a class in my area where I could learn how to do the more complicated weaving, but there is not. I would have to, it's not in my area. It's out of my area, not even anywhere near it. And I would feel that I would need more one-on-one attention, that they wouldn't be as descriptive.
It's also a tough thing, isn't it? It's getting that attention that you require. Like when I decided to learn judo, and it's one of my hobbies that I haven't done for a while, but I was the only vision impaired person in a group of non-visually impaired people, like sightlings, if we will. And we went at a pace which I felt was fine, but at the same time, I had to learn as I went sometimes, with very much, I have to do this, and there's very much, okay, that isn't working blatantly. This is probably what they mean. And granted, I was quite good at it, but it also meant I had to constantly go back to the sensei and say, is this correct? Is this correct? Is this correct? And he did get a little bit sick of me. I know it was about no mercy, but at the same time, you need to know what you're doing before you can show mercy.
What sort of crafty things would you say are easy for visually impaired people to get into, Kim?
Beading, jewelry making.
Beating, excellent.
Yeah.
Where are the children?
Beads.
Beads, like.
Have you heard that episode? Spare the rod, spoil the dog.
What about knitting or crocheting?
Yes,
I know blind people who do that, knitting and crocheting.
Oh yes,
Yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I would love to learn how to sew. You know how to use a sewing machine and make my own dog bandanas. Hustle, you know what I mean? Have a side hustle.
If you make it out of like vegan materials or stuff like that, I bet you make a killing on that.
Vegan.
You mean cotton?
Look, Matt, everything's made out of like child-friendly, vegan-esque materials now, right? And then you can charge a premium for it, innit? Like, charge 30 quid. Like, oh, you want this bandana for your dog? 30 quid. But you probably sewed it up in like 2 minutes.
There you go, Angie. Just get some vegan cotton because, contrary to the other cotton that you put like beef into it,
Yeah. But no, yeah, that's something that I would like to learn. But I think Kimberly already said it. Just do something because you want to do it and because you're passionate about it. Like right now, I'm exploring on wanting to do something that I'm very passionate about. But I mean, I have to figure things out. I have to talk to people. And I also kind of have to see if my blindness isn't a hindrance, for me to pursue this as a job or as a career.
What's that, Angie? Like, if you don't mind me
dog
asking.
training. Dog training.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. I love it. When I got my first dog at 16, I took her to classes, but I would practice, I would work with her at home and I trained her. Same thing with my second dog. And I love teaching a dog basic obedience and tricks. It's fun for me. But the thing that the only reason why I'm wondering if me becoming certified to do it, I have to explore it a little more, is just over the fact that, with dog training, you do have trainers who might work with dogs who are reactive or aggressive. And I can't judge body language from a distance.
You need to be teaching the husband first.
Yeah, let me train your husband. So like, let's say for example, if you're walking and you see a dog coming towards you, like it's hard to tell that dog's body language. It's hard to read that dog's body language. So I mean, I want to see whether that would play a factor of, with me being able to get certified, because I don't think that I'd be able to work with dogs who are reactive or aggressive, just not because I don't want to do it or not because I'm scared or I don't feel comfortable. It's just, it would be very difficult for me to judge. To see their body language. Like if or for example, a reactive dog, you have to get their focus on you before the reaction occurs. And that would be very hard for me to tell. My first dog was reactive. She was dog reactive, and I was young at the time. So, I mean, it was very hard. It was my very first time, dealing with a reactive dog and, with a dog in general. And I didn't know what I know now as far as that. And it was very, I did what I could to make sure that when we were walking, if I heard another dog coming by, to make sure that we were out of the way. But yeah, I mean, that's just my only concern that I would have for myself. But yeah, I'm definitely going to talk to a dog trainer in my area and see if I can shadow them, if I can, what they would recommend and things like that. But it's something that I'm exploring, and it's something that I definitely would like to do.
Nice.
T, is there anything that you want to do that is easily accessible for people?
So what I would say from my perspective, and this comes from working in leisure/leisure, is that there'll be a lot of pushback depending on where you want to go or what you want to do. But at the same time, you need to be very persistent, because there's a lot of things that are accessible to a lot of people, and that's regardless of disability. And if we're talking about visual impairment, there is no reason in a lot of cases why a lot of things should not be accessible. So zip lining, like was mentioned by Kimberly, there's no reason why that is not accessible. That's 100%. They can make allowances for that. It just comes down to laziness, but there's things they can put in place for that to make it accessible. Similarly, with any sort of like hobbies or learning how to sew or to dog train, like Angie mentioned, 100% accessible. There's no reason why there are not schools, classes, online or otherwise, to teach visually impaired people how to do that using entirely their hands. As you've shown, Cleves, like you've done music and you've made allowances for yourself with your gigs, that sort of thing, putting Tipex or Whiteout, wherever you are in the world, on your guitar. You memorize things like Kimberly does with her singing. That's what it comes down to. There are adaptations that we all do, and that's always like 50% of things. When I used to play sport, it was all down to memorizing a lot of things, but then making it my own. And I did play for specific visually impaired teams, but at the same time, when I played judo, that was not visually impaired accessible. I just went there and said, these are the adaptations you need to make them. And they did. And that's not going to be the case in all instances. Like sometimes people will push back and be like, oh, well, we're not going to do that. In which case, it's not worth your time. Don't give them your money. Move on. Because there'll always be someone else who will take your money. Just make sure you're getting out of it what you want to. But ultimately, it's got to be down to what you want to do and what's accessible to you in that location. I think we haven't touched on it today, but getting to that place, if you're going to a lesson, a class, or a school, or whatever it be, if it's not online, I think that's something that should always factor into your decisions. Make sure you can get there, because then you'll keep it up. And that's always, I think that's tough in the US, because you guys have like 100 miles between towns, whereas we can play in the UK. Oh, it's 10 minutes away. I don't want to do that on the bus. And it's like,
it's annoying.
But I think that's what it comes down to. If you want to do something, there's no reason why it can't be done. Look at any Paralympian who's broken the mold. There's so many of them. I kickboxed, and no one said I could do it. And I learned how to kickbox. And the person I trained with put me in a sparring match with someone who didn't know I was blind, because he never told him. And I won. When we were doing points-based combat, I beat him. At the end, when we were both exhausted, he was asked, what did you notice about the other fighter? And the guy went, well, he's fast and he's very reactive. And then the instructor was like, he's blind, and he just dealt with you based on sound and smell and still beat you. I was like, wow. He's like, I had no idea. It's like, it's a lie. And he went, no, the dog in the corner is his guide dog. Like, look over there, that's his harness. Like, he is 100% blind. Like, you got just beaten by a blind man who's been doing this the same amount of time as you. So based on that, there's no reason why you can't do anything you want to do. Like,
right.
Just do it.
Yep.
100%. Like, don't accept no barriers, because there's always someone else out there who will take your money to do your hobby. Ultimately, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, exactly. No, you raised a very, very good point. But yeah, no, this was a really, really good episode, guys. I really enjoyed it. It was fun talking about what our interests are, what blind sports there are for blind people in our respective countries, and we definitely need to record more episodes like this again.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome.
All right. Well, this concludes our episode, folks. I hope that you've enjoyed listening to us talk and our banter. This has been a wonderful series, and we don't think it'll be over anytime soon because there are definitely a lot more things that we can talk about and compare and contrast between the two countries. Not just the blind aspect, but food and culture and things of that nature. But you guys know where to find us. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Find us on Facebook, Twitter. You can email us, and be sure to listen to Seesaw. Go to their page. These guys are great to listen to, and we enjoy listening to them as well. And where can they find you guys?
You can find us at Seesaw Podcast or Seesaw Pod on any social media that you care to look at. Just search one of those two. You'll always find us. Usually Seesaw Podcast, but you'll find us on anywhere if you put that in.
Cheers, Angie, and cheers, Kim, for having us on. It's been awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening to Seeing Things Differently.
Blindness Across the Pond.
With Kay and Cleves.
And Angie and Kimberly.
You can find us on the following social media: seesawpodcast@gmail.com and seesawpod on Twitter.
And you can find us at
Facebook at This Is What Blind Looks Like, Twitter at Blind Looks Like, and you can also email us at thisiswhatblindlookslikePod@gmail.com. Thank you for listening.